Hello guys, I'm going to preface this by saying this won't change your view or alternate things that you may believe or try to defend what's happened. I'm just going to try and give you a walkthrough of the gaming industry and kind of teach you things you may not know or may not be aware of. It's not going to explain why Brian Mitsoda was released, because no matter what the situation, whatever conjecture I offer you isn't good enough. And it's never going to be good enough. Because something bad happened to a nice person. But that happens in the world a lot. Brian Mitsoda is not the only one that's been fired from that position before. It's happened more times than people realize. That happens very frequently in the gaming industry. People are let go mid-development, near the end of development, different places. It happens very often. Like, the only reason his situation is special is because he's kind of like a rock star to a lot of his fans. But gaming in itself, when you're developing a game, can best be described as untying knots. When I was learning about it, my teacher used to always tell me, think of a development of a game as knots being untied by people and made by people. There are people inside who make these knots and make a strand of them, making a very big web. And it's the game developers' jobs to untie them. Now, these can be made for several different reasons and several possibilities. They can be made by fans, by people inside, and by other things. Now, I can't tell you why Brian Mitsoda was fired or let go, but I can tell you that there are things that do weigh on the consideration area. Every time a delay happens, the ESRB has to be paid again to test the game. And then advertisement has to be done again to release the game. So you're looking at several different markets, and then you have to realize to stock the game, they have to pay these people a certain amount of money. Like, stores don't just take your produce and go, okay, there's a contract. There's always a contract in place. Now, with game development, like I said before, it's about the knots. There are knots in Bloodlines 2's development. Now, as much as it's hidden, I will tell you that from my experience, I think Hardsuit Labs has had a very difficult development cycle. I imagine people have been coming and going due to COVID-19. I imagine that has had an influence on it. Now again, this doesn't excuse Brian Mitsoda being fired. The idea of this video is to educate you as much as I can on the gaming industry as a whole. Now, keep in mind, I've known 9 people get fired from the exact same position as Brian Mitsoda this year alone. So, it's a very common thing. Does it mean it's a good thing? No. Losing your job's never a good thing, not when you put everything on the line to do it. But the idea is, I want you guys to understand that the game is currently in a state of hell from development standpoint. It's a miracle it hasn't been scrapped and restarted. From my experience, all the signs are there that the game is just in a disastrous state. Now, you may be wondering what I mean by that, because it doesn't look that bad. It's not going to look that bad to us on the outside. Internally is where the conflict is, and you have to look inside of things if you want to see what's going on. Now, like I said, I can't change your minds. I agree Brian Mitsoda was done dirty, but I'm a YouTuber. I have to try and make content. I have to try and report on things. And I need you guys to know, while the standards should be higher, they're not. And gaming's not the only industry that's like this. These are people that spend millions of dollars like it's nothing. So you have to understand that what seems obvious to us may not seem obvious to them. Like, keep in mind, they're not just thinking about one person or us. They're thinking about an entire business, multiple employees, several people. Now, it's possible Brian Mitsoda and Kai, I don't know how to say his name, were used as like martyrs to make Hardsuit Labs understand that delays won't be tolerated anymore. I don't know. I don't have the answers. Only Brian Mitsoda, Paradox, and Hardsuit Labs do. From my experience, this game has been in a development torpor. It's shown all the signs of games that just don't go well. Now, does this mean the game coming out is going to be bad? No, not necessarily. There are a lot of games that were in development hell that came out and did very well. Not every game that goes through things like this, and truthfully, a lot of games do go through this. Red Dead 1 and 2 were nightmares. Absolute nightmares, but that's because of how those companies run things. But like I said, it's up to you guys. You can disagree with me if you want. I mean, it's a free country and we're allowed to have open discussion. So, I welcome the comments below, and I will try to answer each and every one of them if you have questions. But this is the best I can do for now, and this is Nerdcraft signing off.